Hello, how's it going? Is there anything that tastes better than a good cup of tea? I mean, just properly brewed. Mm, no. Anyway, um, today I had to get my fingerprints done at this dank little shop on South Street, and it just reminded me of I had the last time I had to get my fingerprints done was when I got a job at the U.S. Census. Um, 3 years ago it was, and it didn't take as long because the last when I was when it was this was out in the suburbs of Chicago, and the place where I went to get my fingerprints done was in this little hotel in this small room in the basement of a hotel. It's like I didn't know if I was gonna come back out of that room alive. And We ended up waiting there for like an hour and a half because the machines just wouldn't work. And the poor guy, I mean, I was annoyed, but the poor guy was just looked like he wanted to cry. There was nothing he could do. Um, because he was always so close to fixing it and it just kind of fell apart. And, and apparently, like for me, it was a giant pain in the ass to get out there. And then, uh, it was really a pain in the ass to set up. So I was like, I just want to do this. I waited an hour and a half. There were like 30 or 40 people waiting, while some repairman came out from Chicago out to the suburbs to fix this stupid thing. And I wasn't too far, I was probably only like 3 or 4 people back waiting. And you can see around the corner and there's just people waiting to get their fingerprints done, and it just I've always when I was younger, perhaps I didn't have as much experience um, being in those situations like that guy, and I've always wondered how painful it is. And I've worked at a supermarket and I've worked at a liquor shop, so I've had retail experience, and then obviously when you have machines that kind of hook up to the internet or they have a printer or there's a interface between a keypad and the screen, and it doesn't always work out. There's so many different ways that can go wrong, and you're not really trained on this. You're just kind of making it up as you go along, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it's almost like I kind of like monkeys. I call it like monkeys thing, where basically you just kind of monkey see, monkey do, and you just kind of don't read a booklet, you don't get a class, you're not really taught in some sort of seminar. You just copy what everybody else is doing. And some people are better at explaining than others. Some people only got half the message or something like that. I remember um, there was one. I used to work at a supermarket in the United Kingdom, and there was it's called Smart Shop. It's probably um, uh, pointing, telling you where I worked, just because I don't think other places in the UK uh, have that name. Concept's pretty widespread. So anyway, I was working at the smart shop, and there was always this one screen that just it would never go right, and nobody could ever figure it out. It would just go psycho. It was just weird things would show up. You'd have to shut it down, and maybe it would come back on, maybe it wouldn't. Um, we'd have to call like the hotline to get them to try to help us talk us through it. But and apparently it was the screen was too dirty. People had been touching it, boom, 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 and it just needed to be wiped down. That's all it was. Um, and that it's just like the technology. Like where would we be without it? But we also have to bang our heads against a wall. And so anyway, today it wasn't that big of a deal. It just reminded me. I was like, oh my god, I remember that afternoon I spent in a hotel in Oak Park. I'm just wondering what the hell I've done with my life. That I'm stuck in a basement, um, trying to get my fingerprints taken. So anyway, I also had to get a piss test, which didn't take that long. I never really, I've had to take like maybe not just piss tests like for drugs, but for analysis and things like that. And I never really know what to do because I mean I'm sure that the people who work there, it's kind of nothing to them. It's just they do it over and over again. But you, as a person who maybe has only done this, never done it before, or only has done it once or twice before, you never really know what the etiquette is. Here's my piss, here's you're gonna have to be careful, you don't want to drop it, um, because there might not be more of it, and plus you just drop piss all over the floor. What's the difference between you and a baby or you and a dog? But it seems to me that they must know what they're doing. They must drop stuff all the time. The place looked pretty clean, which is always a good thing, right? When you're dealing with blood and piss. And I don't know why I was nervous in there. I was just maybe it's just because in the past I used to do you know small illegal stuff, but I was like, what? And I was thinking while I was waiting for her to print out some kind of form for me to sign, and I was just thinking, what the hell am I worried about? The only like sort of drug that I've been taking over the last, I guess it only goes back a couple of weeks. I guess some things linger longer than others, but the only thing I've had is a couple of beers this weekend. Like I don't know. I always feel like a criminal in those situations where they're testing you for drugs. I suppose if you have nothing to hide, then it's okay. But if you've had something to hide, but it was 20 years ago, then you still feel like you have something to hide. Um, uh, but I kind of had to sort of talk myself out of being scared. It's like, what are you worried about? What do you been? Now I've always heard that people um, fail these things because they've eaten something that they didn't know that kind of tests positive, even though it's not a real drug. Like, for example, you eat a bagel with poppy seeds on it, and you might test for opium because there's the same chemical in opium is in poppy seeds. I think they come from the same plant. But um, uh, I don't know if that's still that. I think that was a plot of like a subplot of the Seinfeld episode, and I never really know if something I'm eating that doesn't. I don't get tested for drugs very often. So I don't know if I eat a bag of potato chips with too much vinegar on it, then it would send off some kind of signal, call me a crackhead or something. I don't know. I suppose that I shouldn't have to be worried about it, but I always am, although it doesn't happen often. Um, Furthermore, one of the things about this job, I don't really know what I'm going to be doing. I've been through Delaware. It's in Delaware. I've never actually gone to Delaware on purpose. Just driven through it on the highway. Um, I don't really know too much about anything I'm going to be doing. It pays pretty well, but um, that's about all I know. So that's why I took the job. It's stuff like I've read the job descriptions. It's very vague. They were very, I wouldn't call it cagey, but they were vague about what I'd be doing. I know that there's a lot of privacy when you go with financial data and reporting information about people's accounts, their investment accounts, that you need to be very, 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 very discreet about those things. But on the other hand, like I have no clue what I'm going to be doing. And now that I've been offered this job and I'm going through the background check and the uh, I had to sign like so many different papers. It took 4 hours to do. Um, I really couldn't believe it at the end. I looked, this was on Friday, and I just looked at it. I was like, oh my God, I just spent 4 hours clicking, I agree, I agree, I agree, I agree. I'm not going to get paid for that, but I suppose it's just something you got to do to get a job. But now that I've been offered the job, it pays pretty well. It's only a 6 month contract, so I feel like I can't really change too much about the way I spend my money, and that is I don't spend very much money. Um, I, uh, I honestly like I went to the supermarket today and we got these little papers in the mail that they give you coupons, and I thought, okay, I'll put this, and we'll get a thing of meat. Meat's really expensive nowadays, so I ended up freezing it. Um, and I think that the original bill was going to be like $50, and I ended up spending like 30, 25, 30, somewhere in there. About half the bill was just taken off because of coupon, which is totally amazing. I gotta reel it in because I don't want to end up like one of those people who's just a coupon people. They have these TV shows. I only watched one episode of it, and I thought this is too much. People spend their whole lives flipping coupons, and they've got folders, they've got boxes, they buy things that they don't need. It's like one step beyond um, hoarding. It's just they have these little piles of papers and then they go get this stuff. I actually, when I when I was working at a supermarket, and this is in England, and I don't think that they have as many coupons there as they do here. I think coupons are usually just to get you in the door, and then you know from there you might pick up stuff while you're walking through the aisles. And I was at the till doing the checkout, and um, this one woman came in with like a whole, oh, they call it trolley, is the whole the shopping cart full of groceries. I always kind of like look at one of those things. If it's up around the brim of the cart, I try to. It's like, what are we looking at? About 200 pounds here. Kind of like eye it up because some stuff's really expensive and it's small, like makeup or booze. Anyway, I I ended up. I was like, okay, I'll do about 200. It ended up being like 20 pounds. The woman had so many coupons and she got so many things from the discount. I don't think I've seen it that much here, but in Britain, they say the sell by date is like May 31st or 31st of May, as they would say. And right now, so today is the 16th, there would be no discount. Let's say it's meat. You're getting towards May 29th or 30th. They will discount it. They'll put a sticker on that'll make it. Let's say it's like 5 pounds. Let's shrink it down to 3 pounds. Let's shrink it down to 2 pounds. They're getting whatever they can out of it. And people come out of the woodwork just to get these deals. They start like up and down the aisles looking for these things. Some of the things you can freeze. Like I would pick up meat, fish, chicken, whatever, throw it in the freezer as soon as I got home, and then it'd be fine. These people would buy like jugs of milk, like the six pint jug of milk, which is like 3 quarts, right? Is it? Yes, it's 3 quarts of milk. It's a little bit bigger than that because their pints are a little bit bigger, a few ounces more. So anyway, people would get these giant jugs of milk. We're going to go off, or at least we couldn't sell them, so they wouldn't necessarily go off. But you never really know with milk because it just turns on an instant. And so I just remember milk, 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 and it would be milk. A 6 pint thing of milk would be maybe £1 60, £1 50. I don't remember exactly. And these would be like 50 pence, 50 pence, 50 pence. Pretty significant. I was like, but what are you going to do with that? Like you're going to you have gallons upon gallons of milk. You're going to make you're running an ice cream factory or something. So anyway, She had tons of fruit and vegetables. I think you've got to be, if you're going to preserve them, that's going to be all night trying to preserve like all the strawberries and blueberries and all that. But so anyway, like I don't want to end up like that. Um, but on the other hand, like I feel like now that I've offered this job, the temptation to go get stuff is higher. You know, oh well, I'll be getting paid. I don't know when I'm going to start getting paid. You know, when you first start a job, there's always a delay in the pay, and in Britain, you only get paid once a month. Um, and so that kind of works into your mentality that you have to start thinking about how much, you have to sort of pace yourself with your spending. But here in the United States, we get paid twice a month. Some jobs actually pay every week. I'm not sure what this job, because I'm actually only a contracted worker. I'm not like a direct employee, so I don't know. I'm working through a third party, so maybe they would pay me every week. I'm not sure. That's what's happened in the past for me. Anyway, like I feel like this temptation to go buy stuff, and I have to like reel it in. It's like even be, I don't even want to like I don't want to spend money before it starts coming in. And like I had to get a friend to vouch for me, saying like, yeah, because I'm not going to be working on site. So you have this I-9 thing, which basically is just showing that you're authorized to work in the United States. And I had to get send a text to a friend saying, oh, do you mind just saying yes to this email? And she's like, oh, you got a job, but where is it? You have to kind of talk about that. And I said, oh, it's down in Delaware. It's in this. And she's like, oh, well, now that you're back in America, we need to go to this concert. I was like, okay, how much is it? $100. My wife's like, oh, well, maybe we should go out to a restaurant. Thinking like, oh, this is all going on my credit card. Like I can't afford this. And then really, like all I want to do is buy a new computer. This thing right here is a piece of crap. Um, for some way, it's been able to stick around because this thing actually got fried because a cat knocked over a glass of water and totally fried everything. So the battery doesn't work. So every time I want to move the computer to the other side of the room, upstairs, wherever, I have to shut it down, unplug it, go plug it, and then restart it. It's really just Anyway, it's a pain in the ass. I actually bought a pair of gym shorts because I've had the same. Like this is not like ones I exercise in. These are ones I sleep in. And they have to be certain material because if it's too rough, I kind of just I don't like it. It kind of like grates on me. Um, and and I felt like I was like I felt like I was somebody who gets a job and they go out and buy a Mercedes. I'm buying a $20 pair of gym shorts. I felt like I was stepping over the mark. Really, all I want to do with my money is just pay off the credit cards I have and save a ton of money. I don't really want to stuff. I mean, you can't really see it here. We've got about 5 or 6 bookshelves throughout the house, and that's not even enough. We need like another 5 or 6 just to fill up everything. So we've got stuff in boxes, but we've kept the spending tight because we don't have that much money. So anyway, I often wonder if people uh, feel the need to shift their spending behavior at the moment, if everybody else feels that way. I don't really. I feel the temptation to do it, but then again, I'm thinking like, what do I want to buy with it? Like I have all the books I need right now. Like I have tons of books that I haven't read or haven't read in so long that I might as well say I haven't read them. I wonder if other people feel that way. That they feel this temptation that now that they have the money or the money will be coming quite soon, that they can ramp up spending. But I don't really want to do that. I don't really want to buy any gadgets. I mean, this computer is about 5 or 6 years old. It drives me crazy every day. Um, and so I don't feel that bad about replacing it. I actually got some money on Amazon for my birthday, so I've got about $150 plus some extra money that I have on there that I can spend. Um, and I don't know, like, so I feel like I could probably get a decent computer and not have to break the bank for it. But it's funny that when I asked if people feel that way about that and feeling the temptation to shift their spending upwards, um, no, it's really hard though to do it the other way around. Like if say you lose a job, or if you work shift work and you lose a shift, I don't know, for one reason or another, and your income shrinks or just disappears. Really hard to go backwards. It's like flying first class when we flew from England to here to move back to America. I knew somebody who worked at Sainsbury's. Um, wasn't going to mention where I worked, so I knew somebody I would work with at Sainsbury's, and she was able to, kind of bump us up to first class. And oh my God, the difference between first class on a transatlantic flight. I flew KLM from Washington to Brussels, and that was nice. It's about the same distance, and it's really hard to go back to the coach because they really just pack you in like sardines. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when people start traveling more uh, in bigger numbers. How rough the airport's going to be. But it's funny. Like it just kind of reminds me that sometimes the coach is just there for you to scare the crap out of you, or just kind of like, wow, screw it. I don't want to be treated like an animal in you know, in a carrier. I want to put my feet up. And it costs you like 3 times the amount to be able to put your feet up for 6, 7, 8 hours, however long it is. So anyway, apparently it's supposed to rain really hard today. All hell is supposed to break loose in about an hour or so. Got all the shopping. I did my fingerprints, my piss test. Didn't I walked everywhere, so I don't need to go for a run today because I'm exhausted. I didn't sleep very well last night. And that's about all. Bored you to death. So I don't know when I start this new job. I'm looking forward to it mostly because mostly about getting out of the house and doing something with yourself and making a bit of money, and it feels like you're a proper human being when you have a job and a decent job. It's the most embarrassing and humiliating thing in the world to be unemployed in long term. It's I even if it's just a small part-time job, it gives you so much more pride, and maybe just makes a lot of shitty feelings go away by just having that. I know that still you want to do more, but it just gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. So I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, I've gone on long enough, and I will see you again soon.